Today I want to talk about whether or not the Ninja650 is a good motorcycle for new beginner riders. And I feel like I've kind of hinted on this and talked about it a little bit in the past, but I've never really made a video dedicated to it. So that is what we're doing today. There's a couple points I want to bring up. I want to talk about, specifically, since we're talking beginner riders, I want to talk about the height and the weight of the bike versus 300cc inline 4 cylinders. You know, like the R3, the Ninja 300, the CBR 300R versus the 650, specifically the Ninja 650. The height and weight. I want to talk about the price, the longevity of it, which will make sense in a second, and then of course the ease of riding and performance. And then of course I'm going to try to summarize all of it together to give you my ultimate opinion on whether or not you should be using this bike as a beginner. So I'm going to try to get started. I'm going to do this as I always do, just randomly riding around and rambling. I don't have anything set specifically. I don't have a script or anything, so we're just going to pull it from our dome. And they're not going to let me turn. I feel like I'm going to do it anyways. Yeah, I'm doing it anyways. I don't care. Sometimes it happens with motorcycles. Anyways, so the Ninja 650, height and weight. So the Ninja 650 clocks in at just under 425 pounds, and its seat height, where your booty sits, is 31.1 inches. Now I'm a 6 foot tall person. For me, it is very light, and I can stand flat-footed very easily and have a good like 4 or 5 inches to spare. So at 6 feet, it's great. Of course, if you're shorter, you might want something a little bit shorter. That being said, the 300 cc's, like the R3 specifically and the CBR 300R, they come in at roughly 360 to 375 pounds. It's about 50 pounds lighter, and their seat height, I believe, was like 30.6 inches. So it's like a half an inch shorter. Also on top of that, their seat width, I don't have a specific number for, but the seats are definitely a lot more narrow, which kind of gives the sense of having a shorter seat. So yes, if you're in like the 5'5" to 5'8" range, those would definitely be a lot more comfortable to sit on. And also, depending on your physical fitness, whether or not the extra 50 pounds is going to make a difference, you know. But that being said, I don't want to make it sound like the 650 is a heavy bike. The 650 is not a heavy bike. It is very, very light, and it is very nimble, easy to move around, easy to control. And so like, even though it is 50 pounds heavier and about a half an inch taller, I do not believe that that is enough personally to deter a beginner rider away from it. If you are a little bit nervous about it because it is just a tiny bit bigger and heavier, what I would suggest you to do is go to a store that has 300s and a 650, and if you were to sit on them, I will show you actually up here at the stop here, because I got to stop anyways, and put it into neutral. If you are to sit in your bike, nobody's behind me, we're good, and you just stand up and you wiggle it back and forth between your legs like this, you can get a very, very good estimation on whether or not you can hold the bike up. Because really the only time a bike is hard to hold up is when you're stopped, and if you're off balance. Now, this bike I can literally throw back and forth between my legs, even though it's 475 or 425 pounds. Sounds like a lot, but most of that weight is really low, and you've got a lot of leverage. You're up a lot higher, so it feels very light. So don't be afraid of it. But yeah, if you're nervous, go to a store that has both of them and just test it out. Sit on both of them, wiggle them around, and you will probably find that the 650 is not that bad, even though it does seem, you know, 50 pounds heavier and about a half an inch taller. If you're on the shorter end, then you might want to consider the 300, which is kind of unfortunate because moving on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, geez, my brain's not working. I want to talk about the price and the longevity, and there's a reason why I would say it's unfortunate to go the 300 route. Now, price-wise, 300s are a lot more affordable. You can get a 300 brand new for like 4,500 bucks, 5,000 bucks, you know, and they always have rebates on them, especially if it's the end of the year and the new model is coming out. There's always rebates to get them a whole bunch cheaper. And the 650, on the other hand, is like 7,000 to 8,000. So the 650 is a lot more expensive. But that being said, I would definitely be on the side of saving a little bit longer if you need to get the 650 because of the longevity of the bike. I've ridden on a 300 in the past. It was a Yamaha R3, and I had it for like 3 months. The problem is I was beginning, and at the very beginning it was like, this is cool, it's new, it's got that honeymoon phase, you know, and it was great at the start, but after about 3 months of riding it, God, it was so boring. And I don't mean like, I'm not somebody who is constantly looking for, you know, speed and adrenaline and all that stuff, but like, it doesn't do a lot, especially when you're going on the freeway. I was thinking about taking the freeway today just to explain a little bit, but it's something I could just tell you. The 300, when you're on at freeway speed, so let's say like 65, 70, depending on where you are. Here it's like 55 because Oregon is weird. But if you're going like 60, 70 on an R3, you're pretty much 6th gear maxed out. And if you get yourself into a situation where you need to, you know, accelerate to get around somebody, you're kind of sore out of luck because you're already going fast. Yes, it will go faster if you floor it, but it takes a long time to get there. Whereas on the 650, yeah, you're also still riding, and also, sorry if my voice is raspy. There's gravel on the ground, I gotta be careful. My voice is a little bit gone. I've been getting, oh God, I've been getting sick over and over and over again. I don't know why this year has been like this, but whatever. But anyways, on the 650, you are still riding in 6th gear, but instead of being maxed out on your RPMs, you're roughly at about like 4,000 to 5,000 RPMs. So you still have, you know, like up to 8 or 9 of like room to work with if you need to get around. And you could be going 60 and you can floor it and get up to 100 pretty quick still. So if you're in a situation where you need to go around people, then the 650 is definitely something better. That's the performance side of it. But what I mean by longevity is, you know, the 300 gets boring because like you get, it's small, it's very lackluster. It is, yes, it's an amazing bike for beginners if you're looking to go the super sport or sport bike styling, but there's only so much you can do with it. And yes, it is a lot cheaper, but when it comes time to resell it, because I can guarantee you in a couple months you're going to want to get rid of it and get something bigger, it's going to be difficult. Those bikes lose their value very quickly, and when it comes time to sell it, not only does it lose its value, but your target market for selling it is very small, because the only people that you can resell a 300 to is beginners, because there's not really very many people out there who have been riding for a long time who say, hey, I want to buy a brand new 300cc. It doesn't really happen. So the only people you can sell it to are beginners. Then beginners who don't want to save a little bit longer to get a 650. You know what I mean? So selling it is very difficult, and also it loses value, so you don't get a lot out of it. So even if you trade it into a dealership, the dealership's going to rip you off, and you might only get like $2,000 back for it, even if it's in perfect condition, even if it's like less than a year old. And it's not a great trade-in for other bikes too, because then you have equity problems, you know. And let's be real, motorcycles are toys, they're for fun. Don't go into debt for a motorcycle. It's not worth it. So if it means saving your money for another like 4 or 5 months or something like that in order to get something like this, even though yes, it's more expensive, it is definitely worth it. So the longevity of a 650 is much better. I've been riding for like 10 years, and I've had this bike for 2, and I still absolutely love it. You can go through these, you know, nice windy kind of foresty roads and stuff, and it's so nice. You can lean it over, control it. You can get onto the freeway, you can pass people, you can get some speed out of it. It's great. It does everything that you need without being excessive, you know, because like, for real, do you really need a bike at the beginning that goes, you know, 150 to 200 miles an hour in like 10 seconds? No, not really. This does literally everything that you will ever need it to do, and it'll do it comfortably. And you will always feel a sense of like being able to get out of a situation if you need to. And I don't mean to say that to like scare people away from motorcycles. You don't get into situations very often. But if it ever does happen, knowing that your bike can handle that situation is like, the comfort of that is like priceless. You can't put a price on it. So the extra couple $1,000s to buy this is absolutely worth it. Now, reselling these. Now it's funny because I was thinking, 650, I'm used to my R6 little racing bike that I had before this, and I used to take it on the track and stuff like that. But when I got this bike, I was thinking I was just going to use it for a while and then trade it in for an R1. But this was back during the COVID, and inventories were down, and it was tough. You'd have to order it and wait like 6 months or a year just to get, you know, the top of the line, like the new R1 or something, because I really want a Yamaha R1. I would love it. but I bought this bike as kind of like, because I really want to ride and have something comfortable and a little bit larger, you know, just to ride while I'm waiting for that. And I was planning initially to want to sell this bike when I was able to get an R1. And now this dilemma has happened, because there's plenty R1s available that I can buy right now, but I don't want to sell this bike. I love it. Excuse me, man, they've been doing a bunch of logging out here. That's unfortunate. I don't want to sell this bike. This bike is great. It does everything I want to. And that's what's going to happen. The longevity of it, you're going to love it. And instead of wanting to sell it to get a bigger bike, you're just going to want to have 2 bikes. And that's okay. But if you're ever in the situation where you do need to sell the bike, you can. 650s hold their value a lot longer, a lot better. You can actually still get some decent money out of your bike. And that being that, on top of that, in addition to that, people want to buy it. You know, like I said, I've been riding for 10 years, and when I saw, oh, there's a 650 available, it's got like 1,000 miles on it, it's like, you know, less than 2 years old, and it's in great condition, and it looks gorgeous. Excuse me, I got excited there. It looks gorgeous, the white and black. My God, this thing was beautiful. I wanted to buy it. Doesn't matter how much experience on bikes I've had, and like, it's fun. It's a good bike. I need to downshift here for these hills here. But yeah, so it's a great bike. You won't want to sell it, and if you have to, you can. There's a market for it, and you get a good chunk of your money back. Of course, everything depreciates over time as it gets older. You're not going to get usually what you paid for, but unless the timing is just absolutely perfect, kind of like people who bought vehicles before everybody got a stimulus check, and then all of a sudden their vehicle is worth more used than it was brand new when they bought it. You know, things like that can happen, of course, but for the most part, you're gonna get your money back if you need to. So that's kind of like a lot of what I have to it's very rambly. This is what I got to say about this bike. It's a great bike. I was going to talk about the ease of riding and performance, but I kind of threw it into that, so I think I could probably just skip that part and summarize what I've got to say. So with all that being said, like, I'll be honest, I can't find a negative for the 650. I can't find a negative for it, unless like you're absolutely gung-ho mad and need to be going 150 to 200 miles an hour in the blink of an eye. If you're that person, then sure, go get a Ninja H2 or something like that, or an R1. But no, I can't. I have to. Whoops, I had to cut that part out because I said something I don't think I'm allowed to say on YouTube. Just be careful if you're going down that path and need to be going fast all the time. The 650 is an amazing bike, and in terms of beginners, I'm gonna wrap this up now. It might be a little bit larger and a little bit heavier than a 300, but it's still a lightweight and small bike. And it's also not so small that when a 6-foot person gets on it, it looks goofy. Like, let's be real. I love Honda Groms. I really do. Those little 125 Groms, they're cute. They're cute bikes. They look like they'd be a lot of fun to just do wheelies down the road on, you know? But let's be real. If you're driving and you see, you know, a pack of like 5 Honda Groms going by you, you kind of say, "Aw, how adorable." Because you got grown men and women riding a little tiny bike down the street, and it's honestly, it's kind of cute. It's a lot more cute than it is cool, if you know what I mean. The 300s, if you're a larger person, kind of give that same vibe. A 300 on a 6-foot tall person just looks awkwardly small. Whereas being 6 foot on the 650, yeah, it's not as big as a Hayabusa, but it doesn't look awkward, you know? So if you're concerned about looks too, that's another thing. You know, it doesn't look awkward. Yeah, ease of riding. This is, you know, it's a really steep uphill, curvy road, and I'm having a blast. Yeah, I'm going slow because I'm talking to you guys and I'm enjoying the scenery, but it's easy. Anyways, for a beginner, great bike. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. I would say absolutely 100%. If you are going into the sport bike realm as a beginner, the 650 is probably top of the line pick for you. And that is, and coming from a person who has been on the Screamer 4-cylinder, the inline 4-cylinder Screamer bikes, you know, like on a track. I've been riding a long time, and of course that is important, because people who have been on bigger bikes, typically when they get on something smaller and easier and more tame, it does feel boring to them. But this doesn't feel boring at all. This is so comfortable, and it can do anything that I need. It's more responsible. It's not boring, but yes, it is more responsible. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've got to say. I'm losing my train of thought and I'm starting to repeat myself, so I think that's a sign that it's about time to go. Also, I got the sniffles. But I am trying to get up here to a certain place to turn around, because there's a beautiful spot up here if I can get to it. I think it's before it turns to gravel. We'll see. I just want to park my bike and give you guys a little walk around so you can see it. It is beautiful. Pretty soon it's gonna have powder coated white wheels with the green little tape around it, because I want to do the whole white and green and black thing. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm getting off track here. Yeah, so I hope this video for a beginner rider was inspiring, to show you guys that, you know, it is a good bike for a beginner. I would absolutely suggest it over a 300cc. This video was kind of to compare the two. You're not going to get bored of this bike. I'm not bored of this bike. It might not go 0 to 5 million miles an hour in like 1.5 seconds, but it'll do everything that you need it to. It'll get you out of any situation that you come across. Here's the spot I wanted to take a break. It's going to turn into gravel here soon. So I'm going to get off. I'm going to wrap up this video, and honestly, I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I had a blast coming out here and talking about it. I would definitely suggest this for anybody who's looking to get a sport bike. Again, if you're going down the cruiser route, like, you know, Harleys, cruisers, things like that, or naked bikes, then it's a completely different conversation. But this bike is for a sport bike. Oh my god, just look at it. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And some of the newer color schemes that they're coming out from the factory, even more gorgeous. But I'm not gonna lie, I think mine's the most gorgeous. I'm happy with it. Anyways, before I lose my voice here, yes, it is a beginner-friendly bike, and yes, it is, in my opinion, much better than a 300 inline 4-cylinder. This is a V-twin, so it's not going to scream. It's going to sound different. It's going to feel different. The power band is consistent all the way up to about, you know, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 when you start to redline at about 10. The power band is consistent. You feel like you have power all the way through. The 4 cylinders will feel like you've got one tame bike up to about 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, and then you've got another less tame bike higher than the 5,000 or 6,000 RPM. But that being said, the 300cc is never really going to feel less tame. It's always just going to feel kind of bleh. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. I'm getting pretty close to my 1,000. I'm really excited for this, and I'm honestly having a blast coming out here and just sharing my thoughts with you guys. Usually, if this is your first video to watch, usually I talk more about goal setting and things like that while I'm out riding around, but I definitely wanted to put this out there because I feel like it would be beneficial for somebody who wants to get out on the road. We're coming into riding season. We're in riding season here in Oregon, and a lot of places are starting to get into riding season, so this is honestly the best time to get started, because then you have a whole season to enjoy it before you have to park it. You know, starting in the winter and only be able to ride it every once in a while kind of sucks, because you're going to have that itch to go ride, and the roads are going to be wet and it's going to be cold and uncomfortable. So this is like prime time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and let me see if I can think of any words of wisdom before we go, because that's usually what I like to do. This is a tough one. I guess you should be careful what you consume on the media, because when one consumes a lot, one must also poop a lot. Nah, forget that. Anyways, hey, have a good day, guys. Peace. Bye.